Eating for slimmer waist. Let's talk about it just a little bit. I'm Katerina, and this is Level Up Life Project, and it's also day 17 of my 28-day healthy waist slimming challenge. So, really briefly, wanted to talk a little bit today about eating, and I'm not a nutritionist or anything, so I'm not gonna say a full breakdown. And this whole time, I'm actually sharing with you things that I'm doing because I'm doing this challenge primarily to see what results I can get, but sharing thoughts along the way with you. So definitely check with your doctor before you do anything, and your own preferences as well, especially when it comes to talking about eating. But I am kind of like anti strict dieting after growing up overweight and like trying a million different things and not getting the results I was looking for, and getting a damaged relationship with food instead. So I am not here today to recommend like a certain diet or anything, but I am a fan of being intentional about adding positive things into your daily menu, um, instead of like starting to obsess. So I don't count calories. Sometimes I'll check food labels, but for other reasons, like to work on getting I like to try to get enough protein. But my tip for today is adding in two certain types of foods that can be supportive for your gut. So one is fermented foods. So that can be sauerkraut, but they're like bootleg types of sauerkraut that are not really getting you like the raw probiotics, but then there are other ones. So just like read the label if it says like raw probiotics or uh, you know, things along those lines, then that's going to be something, um, like a brand of sauerkraut that is probably helpful. If it doesn't say anything about probiotics, it's probably been pasteurized out or whatever they do to it. But yeah, so like you can ferment your own vegetables. Look that up if you want to do that. Or you can buy things like sauerkraut or kimchi and things like that. And then the other type of food is if you eat animal products like bone broth or even so what I do personally is there's bone broth that you can buy, or sometimes I haven't gone through the process of making my own bone broth, but sometimes like do chicken broth, homemade chicken broth, and I both find that really like soothing. Like sometimes I'll make like a big, not a big, like a medium pot of homemade chicken broth, and then just warm it up as like an accompaniment to a meal. But I try to make sure that I have one or the other or both of those several times a week. So if that's something that you want to look into adding into your diet, it might be helpful. But again, not a nutritionist or anything, I'm not claiming to be. Check with your doctor and your own stuff that you have going on. But I highly recommend that perspective that I talked about of not going crazy about, oh, I gotta cut this and I gotta cut that. Like if there are things that affect you, like if you've watched some of my earlier videos, I talk about how I have Hashimoto, so gluten affects me, for example. So I did cut out gluten, but not just because I want to be fancy about cutting out gluten, but because it makes me bloated, it gives me a skin reaction, like gluten does things to me. So if you have something like that, that you even suspect, like, oh, I think when I eat X food, like it really throws me off, or like I get an eczema flare up, or like whatever it is, I highly recommend trying cutting that reactive food out and see how you feel and what happens to your waistline, because I lost a significant amount of weight just from being really thorough about cutting out gluten. But anyway, that's not what this video is about. What I was going to get around to saying was to pay more attention to adding in healthy things rather than get obsessive about cutting out unhealthy things. And most of us know like the processed foods are not good for us and whatnot. But one strategy can be like, okay, I always eat whatever your processed food thing is here. Like, until I've done the mental work, a lot of it is mental work, which is why the videos on mindset are so important. But until I've done like the mental work and like the other supportive things that are gonna help me let that go and it not feel like, oh, but I'm dying for whatever your processed food thing is here. When you have that processed food thing, also have something that's supportive to your body. Not to say that it's going to balance out, but to help give your body like nutrients and support along the way. So thanks for watching.